What if I told you everything you know about Epicureanism is a lie? A philosophy often reduced to indulgence and pleasure is hiding a far deeper, life-altering truth. Let's uncover it together. The last video in Style 6 clearly resonated with you, and today, we're diving into its fascinating counterpart, Epicureanism. Named after its founder, Epicurus, this school of thought is often misunderstood. Many people reduce it to a philosophy of indulgence, linking it to earthly pleasures like food, drink, and luxury. But here's the twist. Epicureanism isn't about excess. It's about balance, happiness, and living wisely. In this video, I'm not aiming for an exhaustive breakdown of Epicurean philosophy. Instead, my goal is to spark your curiosity and inspire you to dig deeper into its teachings. Together, we'll dismantle a major misconception, the idea that Epicureanism glorifies indulgence. Epicurus taught that true happiness cannot exist in excess. While we are physical beings who naturally seek pleasure and avoid pain, our instincts often mislead us. For example, drinking a glass of wine may bring joy, but finishing the whole bottle can lead to regret, be it a hangover or a loss of control. Similarly, binging on indulgent foods like Nutella may feel amazing at the moment, but causes discomfort afterward. Epicurus invites us to recognize this paradox and ask, are we chasing short-term pleasures at the expense of lasting contentment? Let's explore how this ancient philosophy offers practical wisdom for modern living, helping us balance pleasure and pain to create a fulfilling life. What if chasing your desires is secretly destroying your happiness? Let's uncover the hidden path to true fulfillment from one of history's most misunderstood philosophies. Epicurus challenges us with a profound truth. Pleasure alone doesn't lead to happiness. In fact, pursuing unchecked pleasure often brings negative consequences. True happiness, he argued, lies in moderation and balance, a philosophy rooted in wisdom, not indulgence. Epicureanism is about walking the fine line where pleasure remains pure and untainted by excess. When this balance is broken, we lose control, and instead of mastering pleasure, we become enslaved by it. This idea is strikingly modern. How often do we chase fleeting joys that lead to regret? Like overeating, overdrinking, or overindulging in unhealthy habits. For Epicurus, wisdom is the compass that guides us toward harmony, not excess. What if the desires you think are essential actually aren't? Epicurus classified them, and the results may surprise you. Epicurus categorized desires into 3 types: natural and necessary, natural but unnecessary, and vain. This classification was central to his teachings on achieving happiness. For example, desires like eating or breathing are natural and necessary. They're tied to our survival and biological essence. Without food, hunger manifests as a desire. When satisfied, we feel pleasure. However, other desires, like luxurious feasts or extravagant lifestyles, fall into the natural but unnecessary category. And then there are vain desires like chasing fame or excessive wealth that only lead to dissatisfaction. Here's where Epicurus stands out. He believed desires should be controlled and prioritized wisely. The happiness derived from satisfying a necessary desire, like eating when hungry, is pure. In contrast, indulging in unnecessary or vain desires often leads to pain or emptiness. This is a revolutionary idea even today, especially in a world that glorifies consumption. Why does desire often leave us feeling empty? Rousseau and Epicurus had answers that can change how you think about your wants. Desire, Epicurus taught, is not the same as pleasure. It's a force driven by a sense of lack. We crave what we don't have. Once that object of desire is attained, the feeling fades, leaving us to chase the next thing. Rousseau expanded on this, arguing that desire itself can be more fulfilling than its satisfaction. Imagine yearning for something deeply, Sometimes the pursuit is where the beauty lies, not the destination. This paradox challenges us. Should we indulge in every desire, knowing it may only bring fleeting satisfaction? Or can we find contentment in moderation and simplicity? For Epicurus, the answer was clear. Happiness isn't found in fulfilling all desires, but in mastering the art of desiring wisely. Epicureanism remains a practical and transformative philosophy, urging us to live with awareness, balance, and control. By understanding and prioritizing our desires, we can free ourselves from the trap of excess and create a life filled with meaningful joy. Did you know that some of your desires might be symptoms of a hidden disorder? Epicurus believed your cravings could reveal more than you think. Let's break it down. Epicurus' philosophy shines a light on the nature of human desires. He categorized them into 3 types: natural and necessary, natural but unnecessary, and non-natural and unnecessary. These distinctions help us understand not only what we truly need, but also what can lead us astray. For example, natural and necessary desires, like eating or breathing, are tied to our survival. They're essential and must be satisfied to live. However, natural but unnecessary desires, like indulging in a steak with wine, are about pleasure rather than necessity. According to Epicurus, these can be enjoyed, but only in moderation to avoid turning pleasure into pain. What if your love for luxury isn't natural at all? Epicurus called it a disorder. Here's why. The 3rd category, non-natural and unnecessary desires, reveals the risks of indulging in luxury for its own sake. For example, craving a steak served on a silver platter with ornate cutlery isn't natural. It's a learned desire, driven by excess rather than need. Epicurus warned that such desires lead to addiction, where moderation is lost, and the pursuit of pleasure spirals into suffering. He believed these desires signal a form of degeneration, where humans lose touch with their natural instincts. Overindulgence, whether in alcohol, food, or luxury, becomes a pathology. It requires ever-increasing amounts to achieve the same fleeting satisfaction, an endless, harmful cycle. Why does chasing pleasure often leave us trapped? Epicurus revealed the shocking truth about addiction centuries ago. The philosopher argued that addiction stems from unnatural and unnecessary desires. When we overstep the bounds of moderation, we fall into a pattern of seeking more intense pleasure to replicate an initial high. This isn't just a loss of balance, it's a disorder that enslaves us. Think about alcoholism or drug addiction. The doses keep increasing, but the satisfaction diminishes. Epicurus' philosophy challenges us to rethink our relationship with pleasure. Is it controlling us, or are we controlling it? By returning to moderation and understanding the roots of our desires, we can reclaim our happiness and avoid the pain of excess. So, how do we escape this trap of endless desire? Epicurus left us with a surprising answer. Happiness doesn't lie in having more. It lies in needing less. Are you ready to take control of your desires? Epicurus reminds us that true happiness isn't about indulgence, but about balance and self-mastery. By prioritizing natural and necessary desires and letting go of the rest, we can free ourselves from the chains of excess and addiction. This ancient wisdom is more relevant today than ever. What if your biggest desires are the very things enslaving you? Epicurus warned us. Here's how to break free. The philosophy of Epicurus isn't about unbridled indulgence. It's about frugality, balance, and self-control. He taught that chasing endless pleasures ultimately leads to suffering. Why? Because as humans, the moment we grow accustomed to pleasure, we start craving more. This cycle, Epicurus argued, is a trap that takes us further from true happiness. Let's take wealth as an example. Imagine a millionaire striving to become a billionaire. They already have enough to live comfortably and ensure the survival of their family. So, why the need for more? Epicurus would call this hubris. a dangerous overstepping of natural limits. It's a mindset that capitalism often validates, as it's built on the dogma of infinite growth. But this endless pursuit isn't freedom, it's pathology. Why do some people never feel like they've made it? Epicurus explained this centuries ago. Here's the surprising truth. The millionaire chasing billions becomes a victim of their own desires. Instead of peace, they're controlled by a craving for more. Epicurus believed this behavior, called hubris, leads to suffering. He emphasized moderation, arguing that the key to happiness is controlling our desires before they control us. This principle resonates today, especially in a world obsessed with consumerism. Capitalism thrives on our insatiable desires, encouraging us to believe that more wealth, power, or possessions will bring fulfillment. But as Epicurus reminds us, without moderation, we lose the ability to find genuine contentment. What drives a millionaire to lose sleep over becoming a billionaire? Epicurus had a chilling insight. Epicurus' philosophy reveals a profound truth. Excess desire stems from a disconnection from natural limits. When we let desire dictate our lives, we become trapped in a cycle of suffering. This isn't just a personal problem, it's a societal issue. Consider capitalism, which normalizes the pursuit of infinite wealth. This ideology turns hubris into a virtue and blinds us to the cost, stress, inequality, and environmental destruction. Epicurus' solution? Frugality. By embracing moderation, we can reclaim our freedom and focus on what truly matters: meaningful relationships, inner peace, and a balanced life. The real question isn't how much more do I want, it's how much less do I need. Epicurus gave us the answer 2,000 years ago. Are you ready to listen? Epicurus challenges us to redefine success, not by how much we accumulate, but by how little we need to be content. His timeless wisdom offers a path to escape the chaos of modern desires and rediscover true happiness. What if the key to controlling society isn't oppression, but desire? Let's explore the chilling philosophy behind this idea. Modern society has shifted from outright tyranny to something subtler: domination through desires. In democratic societies, as Alexis de Tocqueville observed, the need for overt tyrants has been replaced by invisible tutors that guide us. This is no longer about control through force, but through fostering consent and creating desires for superficial things. The result? A submissive society, chained by its own cravings. Step into any shopping mall, and you'll see it in action. The system thrives when we obediently follow our impulses, purchasing products that momentarily fill an inner void, a void Epicurus would argue cannot be satisfied externally. He would remind us that true happiness comes from frugality and self-control, not excess or consumption. Why do we desire what we don't need? The answer reveals how modern society controls us. The act of buying, psychologically, mirrors a child clinging to a security blanket. As we grow, the blanket evolves into toys, gadgets, alcohol, and endless consumer goods. This endless pursuit of external fulfillment stems from a deeper dissatisfaction within. Epicurus argued that seeking satisfaction outside ourselves is futile. Our desires must be moderated, or they'll lead to suffering. Modern society, however, thrives on the opposite principle. Through clever conditioning, it convinces us to desire the unnecessary. This dynamic, Epicurus would say, strays far from the balanced, moderate life essential for happiness. What happens when we remove limits from desire? The answer is terrifying. Unlike Epicurus' balanced philosophy, modern society glorifies unrestrained consumption. Capitalism and consumerism have obliterated the concept of limits, discrediting moderation as outdated or unnecessary. This shift has led to a culture of hubris, where unchecked desires, whether for wealth, power, or material goods, reign supreme. Even utilitarianism, which values pleasure, acknowledges the benefits of moderation. A rational person might avoid overindulgence in alcohol to prevent a hangover. But modern society dismisses such logic, removing the barriers to excess and creating a world where the notion of limits is ridiculed. Freedom doesn't come from having everything you want, it comes from wanting less. Are you ready to reclaim control of your desires? Epicurus' philosophy reminds us that unmoderated desire is a path to misery. Today's society thrives on encouraging hubris, but the solution lies in a timeless truth. Happiness is found within, not through external excess. By embracing moderation, we can reclaim our autonomy and rediscover the joy of a balanced life. What happens when society abolishes all limits? The answer may shock you. In our modern world, the concept of limits, both personal and societal, faces constant erosion. While it's true that adventurers, artists, and entrepreneurs often challenge boundaries to foster innovation and creativity, the collective abandonment of limits brings consequences. Without limits, we risk descending into chaos, a jungle, as the analogy goes. Epicurus believed that limits are essential for happiness and wisdom. They ensure balance in pleasure, desire, and governance. But today, as we abandon these natural boundaries, society leans into a more tumultuous state. What happens when everyone disregards limits in favor of absolute freedom? Without rules, do we gain freedom or chaos? Epicurus has the answer. When we formalize laws, it's a signal that they no longer reside naturally within us. Rules emerge to counteract behaviors that society has lost the capacity to self-regulate. Epicurus' philosophy reminds us that moderation is the cornerstone of personal freedom and collective harmony. Without rules, children raised in unrestricted environments don't become truly free. They often grow into entitled, ungrounded individuals. This applies on a societal level as well. The abolition of limits might feel liberating at first, but without boundaries, the fabric of cooperation and mutual respect begins to unravel. Why do we need limits? Because without them, freedom collapses into chaos. While ambition can drive progress, unchecked growth creates imbalances. Epicurus saw limits as a safeguard for wisdom and happiness, a view that starkly contrasts with modern society's glorification of excess. Today, many resist boundaries in the pursuit of personal or professional success. But on a larger scale, this can lead to instability, as societal cohesion depends on shared rules and self-governance. Even the most inspiring ventures, artistic pursuits, entrepreneurial endeavors, thrive within structured boundaries. Remove them entirely, and the resulting environment resembles a jungle. Unpredictable, competitive, and chaotic. Limits aren't shackles. They're the key to balance, wisdom, and a better life. Will we embrace them before it's too late? Epicurus' teachings remind us that limits, far from being oppressive, are the foundation of harmony. They encourage moderation, protect against excess, and maintain the delicate balance required for personal and collective happiness. In a future video, we'll delve deeper into Epicurus' profound ideas on pain, morality, and even death. But for now, I invite you to reflect. Are limits truly barriers, or are they guides toward a more meaningful life?